What's up, people? We are back with more Fallout Milestone 1. In the previous video we concluded, finally, the mind dive inside the mind of Albus Folster. So pretty much Ritona and Selphine are completely up to date right now as to what exactly has happened, both with the history of Zevit's enterprise, Zevit's family, as everything that pertains to Sarah and that sort of stuff. So they're pretty up to date and up to speed with everything now. So right now they're going in for a meeting with Rudo Zevitz to try and change his mind of the immediate termination, which will be tomorrow, of Sarah. So yeah, gonna try and change his mind, I think. Fuck, what was the first sentence? Something like, so this is Laboratory 9? The naturally sterile exterior of the building was an unsettling sight to behold. The more intertwined I became in the world of science, the further away I would like to be from its abhorrent alchemic study. Follow me. What are you both? Rudo! What's the meaning of this, Albus? This is Zevit's Enterprise's headquarters. Why are two non-affiliates present? We have no time to spend on trivialities, Rudo. We have urgent business to discuss with you. Can it not wait until tomorrow? I am in the middle of creating a presentation and report, both of which argue in favor of Sarah's dismantlement. Then it cannot wait until tomorrow, because it pertains to that very issue, Rudo. Won't you reconsider sparing Sarah? Must we go over this time and time again until Sarah has truly been disposed of? You really are truly a stubborn man, Albus Folster. No matter how much you press your leniency, the board of directors are unlikely to spare any at this point. Why not devote your admirable efforts to causes that are not already lost? I am not here to discuss conjecture. I know where the board stands, and it is not their opinion that we are seeking to sway. It is yours, Rudo. We? Yes, we. We want to put a stop to Sarah's execution tomorrow. Oh, you outsiders never cease to amuse me with your ignorance. They're not your typical outsiders, Rudo. They are proven mana crafters. Earlier tonight, Selphine allowed me to experience something that no inhabitant from the outer pole has experienced before. Her mana crafty allows telepathic bonds to be established, allowing each participant to experience the innermost memories of one another. Fascinating. Do you understand what implications this holds? I have a feeling that Rudo is... okay, I think I mentioned this earlier, that Albus could be like, oh, let's capture them instead and use them for science or whatever. But I think Albus is actually just a really good guy, and Rudo perhaps might be the person that's gonna be like, well, they're mana crafters. I warned you once before. You're here again. I'll capture you for science. If we could all bridge our collective consciousness into Sarah's memories, we could finally unravel all of the mysteries that surround her. Don't you see, Rudo? We finally have a means to learn what she really is. I don't see, Albus. Assuming that we do confirm our long-held suspicion that Zit Zevitz had somehow integrated my long-deceased sister's memories into the automaton known as Sarah, what purpose would it serve? You cannot sentence Sarah to death without first confirming it if she has just more than just Rune's memories. For all we know, Sid could have resurrected Rune in the state of an automaton with a completely blank slate. Sarah is not Rune, and I shouldn't have to be the one to remind you of that fact. But regardless, as an automaton that is in the possession of Rune's memories, it remains a potential danger to all. We have the final say in what Sarah's fate will be, because it was misappropriation of the company's finances that allowed for the creation of the prototype. We own the automaton, and if the gods are willing, we will see to its destruction. But that's completely... Excuse me. Could I have everyone's attention? Selphine, who had been huddled behind me since our arrival, commanded the attention of everyone within earshot. We are not here to see if Sarah is an automaton or human being. I beg your pardon? We are here to see if Sarah is actually Rughzhaide or not. You both failed to see the main problem here. We have? You both have, yes. How so? Well, after gathering all the information we've learned so far, I think I'd have to say that Sarah is actually Rune in disguise. Oh wow, that's an interesting thing as well. Something that had not completely crossed my mind. That Sarah is actually really human and she's just acting again, pretending to be Sarah. But that means that either Sid brought her back to life, or she didn't die. But let's see. Rune died because of supposedly mana shock, right? Mana shock syndrome. So being exposed to too much colored mana, which is how Sid died as well. I mean, that was another thing that Ruto questioned very early on, like, why did she die to mana shock? Rune herself is very aware of what mana shock is and how you die to it. If you're aware of something, you wouldn't willingly die to something like that, right? If you can obviously prevent it. So, why did she die that way? And if she really died that way, maybe Sid Sevitz found a way to reverse that, although that would be strange several years after her death. I don't know how, but let's find out what the Selphine has to say. How did you come to that conclusion? I can't explain it well, but I could just feel that bringing Rune back to life was Sid's intention the entire time. How could you feel what my father was thinking if you've never even met the man? Because I have met him. I met Sid Sevitz during our mind dive with Albus. I witnessed his youth, his success, his failures, his death, everything. After meeting him, I felt that it wasn't depression or insanity that drove Sid to seclude himself for all those years. In fact, I'm sure he was seeking out a way to allow Rune a chance at redemption by researching a method to bring her back to life. To proceed without interruption, he adopted the persona of a heartbroken man. And he sought out his deceased daughter's soul by using a method similar to the path down mana crafty. That's interesting as well. So that means that he put her soul into... No, because it can't be... Even if it's supposedly Rune disguising as Sarah, right? It can't really be Rune's body again, I think. Path down mana crafty? It all adds up. If Sid was able to discover a method recreating the exact effect of the path down mana crafty, then it is possible that he beckoned forth Rune's soul. Affixing her soul to the core of Sarah's chassis would then explain how Sarah came to be in possession of Rune's memories. Oh, like what Edward did in Full Metal Alchemist with his little brother. Something similar, I guess. How did this not occur to me before? If she has a conscience, emotions, anything of human quality, then none of us here has any right to make decisions for Sarah. Selphine spoke with a clear tone, her eyes completely focused ahead on Rudo's efforts. None of us has the right to deprive her of what she wants, what she thinks, or how she feels. It doesn't matter whether she's human or machine, her fate is in her own hands. Sarah is in control of her own destiny. This may be the first time Selphine has left me speechless with her eloquence. In only a short few days, she's already taken her first step towards becoming a worthy monarch. Nonsense! Not nonsense, Rudo. She makes a valid point, one that even I failed to identify. But perhaps you did see it? Did it never occur to you that Sid perhaps intentionally created Sarah in Rune's image, albeit with one very distinctive variation? Enough, Albus. Sid did the unthinkable and bestowed a key upon Sarah, unlocking the treasure trove of emotions that Rune could never access. If this does hold true, then what we're facing now is a groundbreaking moment against the current criteria that defines humanity. Sarah was merely a byproduct of your father's final creation, dialogue. He wanted to create dialogue for defining the future, where automatons would be acknowledged as the mechanical equivalents to humans. You have an obligation to unite the internal dissidents and drive the dialogue for this revolutionary development. God damn it, Albus. Get your head out of the clouds already. Sarah is a machine. Machines are not humans. Let's assume for a second that Sarah is human. Tell me, can a human be absolutely obedient and completely cut off all emotional output from when commanded to do so? Because Sarah can. Absolute obedience is only possible for machines, not humans. If I ordered Sarah to behead someone, then by the gods, Albus, it will be drenched in their blood. Absurd! Not absurd, Albus. Logic is the key here. Logic demands that my deceased, yet demonic sister be deemed a human because her accursed organs kept her alive and continued pumping vitriol throughout her veins. But Sarah also has the potential to resume Rune's senselessness slaughter of innocents. That fact alone necessitates her destruction. But you cannot dismiss the possibility that she will not resume Rune's rampage. You don't know if Sid's implementation of emotional output somehow offset the potential that you fear so much. I tire of your speculation, Albus. You have nothing to support your arguments. Nothing that any of you can say will make a difference. Now, if you all excuse me, I have more pressing matters to attend to. Wait, Rudo! Confound it all, Rudo! We're not done here! Mr. Zevitz, if Rune could be reborn, free from the defect that turned her into a source of your trauma and terror, would you ever embrace her again as your own sister? If you could bring yourself to look beyond all the pain and suffering you've endured, I know it may be difficult at this point, but I believe that as a leader, you have the potential to demonstrate generosity and forgive her for what she's done. You know nothing about being a leader. With that, Rudo Zevitz left our company. Was this really the only action we could have taken? The sun is rising now. Oh God. Please don't look at me that way, Sid. It feels like you're looking into a casket. Smile your wondrous smile, my love. You can't really expect me to smile, no, not you. How could you bring yourself to smile, Aline, when you know that there's not much time left? That's the big question, isn't it? A question without an answer. I think smiling is a much better alternative to crying my eyes out. I won't need to drink as much tea either. Aline, could you ever forgive me? I know I've been a neglectful, terrible father. My life has always been unbalanced, always tilting towards work. Why are you apologizing? That's not like you at all, honey. If only I had shouldered the burdens of rearing our children together, like real parents should, none of this would have ever happened. If only I had been around them more, been around you more. But I never dreamt that my negligence would cause me to lose my wife and my daughter, all because of my work. I ain't any difference from that son of a bitch father of mine. Don't say that, Sid. Don't you dare have any regret for the choices we made for ourselves, our children, and our family. I want to see the man of ambition that I fell in love with. What good is a man of ambition if he can't even save the people important to him? God damn it! Tell me the truth, Sid. Before Rune passed away, did she have some sort of sickness? It's something that I've been asking myself to this day. If it's the sickness that robbed me of my only daughter, then I start wondering what life would have been like if she wasn't sick. I can't say for sure, darling, but the daughter we raised, no matter what defects she had, was our one and only daughter. Sometimes, I wonder what life would have been like if I could have saved her from herself in time, if I could have given her the emotions that she was missing. Would she still be the daughter that we knew? Nobody knows. I mean, what really happens to a person when they have absolutely no way of expressing their emotions? If emotions are an outlet for us all to vent and steam our concerns into a bottomless oblivion, then does it always stop us from taking one step off of the ledge? I don't think I'll ever know, and neither will I. Sid, I have a question that needs an honest answer. Did you hate our daughter? Hate is a pretty strong word. I'd personally never speak the damn word aloud. But I don't know, my dear. I just feel remorseful and shattered inside. If I really had to put it into words, I think I might have hated her. I can never reconcile what she's done to our family because it's left me broken. I don't think I could ever begrudge the girl for the rest of my days, though. She's left a gap in my heart that can never be filled up again. It's your turn to fess up, my dear. In all honesty, I felt nothing at first. Absolutely nothing. But I was in shock. I was numb from my head to toes because a rain cloud grew and swelled within my heart. I had so many thoughts running through my mind, but I couldn't utter a single word. I was a prisoner, trapped within the stifling clouds of depression. I felt absolutely nothing, when I wanted so badly to feel something. But with time, that cloud slowly lifted and dispersed, leaving me with a visceral, jolting reminder of the horrible reality that I had been returned to. It made me begin to question why I was even alive. The resentment I felt towards myself from the day forward was an incredible force to be reckoned with, because I wanted nothing more than to die. Every waking moment in this pathetic excuse of a body I was born into was sheer suffering. I think I was punishing myself for not being able to save my wretched daughter. I'm a horrible mother, Sid. I've come to accept that fact. But strangely enough, despite all the suffering I've endured from Rune's cold and callous acts, I don't think I could ever hate her. There was so much I wanted to tell her. There was so much I wanted to ask of her. I wanted to know how she saw things, if life always appeared grey and dull to her, and what her final thoughts were. I want to beg for her forgiveness, for failing my duties as a mother, for being blind to her plight, for everything. Oh, wretched, sweet daughter of mine, could you ever find it in your heart to forgive your failure of a mother? I will be with you soon, my sweet Rune. Stop! Stop it, Aline! There's absolutely nothing for you to apologize for. You've been a fine mother to our children, and you know it, god damn it. Don't lie for me anymore, Sid. You've done absolutely nothing wrong. You practically raised our children single-handedly. If anyone's to beg for forgiveness, it's my sorry ass. I failed my test as a mother by letting my lifelong sickness keep me from my beautiful children. This all is retribution for my failures. I suppose things started falling apart after Rune was placed under house arrest. For years, I took a passive stance and did nothing but hope that she'd be reformed. From the bottom of my heart, I prayed that our family would be whole again. But somehow, I always knew those prayers would go unanswered. The fissure would never be healed, and our family would always remain fractured. And before I knew it, that cloud of doubt started swelling and swelling within me again. I made a decision to keep my concerns unspoken, without confronting the reality of it all. I didn't want to be the one to worsen the fracture, not when the illusion of harmony showed me everything that I ever wanted in a family. It would have destroyed us. Nothing made me happier than the status quo, so I suppressed the urge to reveal the truth. And the very existence of the truth is what compelled me to pursue the portrait of my harmonious illusion. The portrait of a happy, perfect, and whole family. I was selfish. I was so deluded by a fantasy that I completely turned away from reality. None of that matters now, Aline. It's all in the past. You did everything in your power to keep this family from falling apart, and no matter what you say, I will always accept that fact as the one and only truth. But I saw Rune's cross-section. I knew, Sid. Even Rudo tried to force me to face the truth. He told me what Rune did to that poor cat. He warned me that she was up to no good again, but I didn't want to believe a single word he said. I brushed my sweet son's words off like they meant nothing to me. I did what I could to keep living in a lie, and instead, I pushed my responsibilities as a mother onto him. Rudo can watch after her, yes. Why not let the big brother watch after his little sister? I entrusted all of my misguided hopes in Rudo's greatest strength. I let his compassion become Rune's caretaker. And all the while, my son was suffering in silence, even more than I was. Suffering from being forced to take care for Rune, and there was never any hope for her. And he did it all for me, Sid, our son. Aline, why? Why didn't I believe in my boy, my beautiful boy? Sid, promise me that you'll never leave Rudo alone. Promise me. He'll never be alone. That I can promise you. Take care of yourself and look out for Rudo. Leave the laboratory when you can, for our son's sake. I couldn't bear the thought of our son being left to fend for himself without his father. Rudo will never know the meaning of loneliness, my dear. I promise you. Wow. That actually got me kind of teary-eyed. Dang. Well, kind of strange though that the very promise that Sid made to Aline, he actually kind of did the complete opposite, right? Towards Rudo, at least. The very first coherent memory I have was a yearning to escape from solitude. This solitude, otherwise known as the outer pole, and a frustration from the fact that it was a physically impossible feat to achieve. Frustration. Yes, I could categorize it as such. It didn't sit well with me, that much is for certain. Unfortunately for me, The inability to express this irate emotion was crippling. I often observed people living their bright, monochromatic lives with a purpose, day by day. However, I had all the purpose of an empty clamshell. The first time I felt a breach in this barrier, when it came to emotional expression, was during my childhood, when I saw a bird laying down on a dirt path one day. I think these are Rune's thoughts/memories. How it came to be on this path was inconsequential, but its neck was stained in a dull shade of crimson, and it appeared to be convulsing severely, as if it were struggling to take flight once more. Eventually, this bird stopped its futile struggle altogether. Suddenly, something from within the depths of my chest attempted to emerge, as if aroused into a frenzy by the very sight of the carcass. The surrounding onlookers all voiced their pity for the creature, but I voiced the exact opposite. For the first time, I had garnered the most bizarre collection of glances, glares, and stares. The sight of the carcass left me with a keen interest, and I hoped to one day witness a similar sight of death. Only in death could I express myself freely. In hindsight, perhaps I also pitied the poor bird, but at the time, I failed to identify what I was feeling, as I could never categorize nor distinguish between the emotion that scenes of death elicited. I began to closely observe the reactions that my actions had solicited, and in time, I became well versed in the art of mimicking normal or seemingly normal human responses. But there was a period of my childhood when I was forced to be confined within my own residence. I had only a few familiar faces to observe then, the faces of my mother and my brother. My mother was always in poor health, but when she spoke, I could always expect a smile, in addition to an amplified pitch. Regardless of her poor health, she stood resolute and unwavering in the face of reality. My mother brought what I believed was warmth into my life. At the time, I didn't know how to properly reciprocate her warmth. To me, my mother's unconditional care and compassion felt nothing more than unsolicited, unwarranted, and utterly alien. I didn't seek to fully comprehend a mother's love for her children. And then there was my brother Rudo, who spoke with such a soft tone, but would immediately override its effect with his scornful scowl. And it was well deserved. For the grand majority of our childhood, I took an active role in traumatizing him. I tried to push him to the edge, time and time again, but he would always rebound and redouble his efforts to work against my own. While my accomplishments garnered much praise in Laboratory 9, overshadowing everything Rudo had done, he had the audacity to assert his non-existent presence daily. He accomplished what he could, with little recognition for his contributions, and was constantly subjected to comparisons to our father. He was pressured by his peers to succeed the ingenuity and innovative mind of Sid Sevitz, which was an insurmountable task in itself for Rudo. But I suppose he never really had a choice in the matter. As the only son and heir to Zevitz's enterprise, Rudo had to scale the cliff towards a realm above our own. Compelled to succeed our father, he made his blind, harrowing ascent upward in search of the seat of power that he hoped, in vain, would someday be his to sit upon. While Rudo devoted himself to his impossible endeavor, I found an indescribable delight at the very thought of chipping away at his footing. Upon reflection, I could have been expressing my envy towards him. Envy at his every attempt to meet and exceed the expectation of his peers. Envy at the very fact that he could openly express himself when my own capabilities were limited mimicry. Envy at his attempts, even now, to innovate and invigorate as our father once did. There was nothing that I wanted more than to watch Ruto fail in his unsurmountable endeavors, because my envy had reached this breaking point. Looking back now, I could honestly admit that I harbored a grievous misconception upon which I based my mimicry of emotion. I learned that emotions could never truly be defined, and that even I was not impervious to manipulation by them. I am responsible for killing my mother, and I am at fault for destroying my father's focus. But most of all, I am responsible for tormenting and warping my brother into the cold and callous man that he is today. Holy crap. Well, gonna have to end the video here before we dive too deep into runes. I guess subconscious, I don't even know what exactly to call it, but we're definitely diving into her thoughts. Not sure even how, but doesn't matter. Holy crap. Well, we're gonna save that for the next video, so thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the very next video. Peace!